If you clicked on this video, I am assuming that you're Australian and that you know what negative gearing is. But if you don't, I'll give you a quick recap. Negative gearing is when you purposely buy a house where the rental income is less than the yearly interest payments, and then you use this loss and claim it on your tax to reduce your employment taxable income. Now, most baby boomers swear by it, and most millennials are against it. And just as with any controversial topic, the real answer is not so black or white. And so I'm clear, I'm not answering whether negative gearing is good for the country or whether it's a smart policy. I'm only answering the question from the point of view of an investor. So I have to admit, when I looked at the numbers, they really did surprise me here. If you don't want to wait through all the workings, I found the long story short of it is that negative gearing is not such a bad thing to grow your wealth, but it is by no means the most efficient way to grow your wealth. And also, just a quick side note before I start with the actual maths, I'll point out that I'm not going to talk about claiming depreciation, as you can do this for both a positively geared property and a negative one. So to find out whether negative gearing is good for you as an investor, the right approach is to calculate how much the house would need to appreciate by in order to offset the negative earnings, and then look at the historical averages for whether property appreciation meets those figures. I'm going off the figures from average real estate growth from Aussie home loans from the 25-year report. Now the first step is to calculate how much the house is costing you every year. As an example, if you're making $20,000 in rental income and your interest bill is $30,000, you'll be losing $10,000 per year. And now, if we marry this up with income tax, let's assume that you're earning $60,000 per year. This will reduce your tax by approximately $3,283, approximately. So, with losing $10,000 but then making $3,283, you're losing a total of $6,717. And let's just assume as well that the house's value is $600,000. If we work out that $6,717 as a percentage of $600,000, we'll figure out that the losses is 1.1% of the house's value. So, if you're negatively geared, your house will need to grow by an average of at least 1.1% for you not to be losing money. And if we account for inflation eroding away the value of your money at 2.46% per year, your house will need to be growing in value by 3.56% per year for you not to be losing your wealth. Over the last 25 years, the average rate for housing growth has been 6.8% per year and apartments are 5.9% per year. So, if you're holding onto the house for a long duration, the strategy can work, but it is not the most efficient way or the most risk-averse way to grow your wealth. Remember that an unexpected job loss can cause you to lose the entire house as you fail to make repayments. So with that being said, now let's look at how positive gearing fares in the same system of mathematical wizardry. Let's just say that everything is exactly the same, except instead of losing $10,000 per year, you're positively geared by $10,000 per year. You'll pay an extra $3,033 in tax, so if we deduct that from the extra $10,000 that you're earning from the house, you'll be pocketing $6,967 per year, which is 1.2% of the house's value. Therefore, 1.2% will be added to the value of your wealth regardless of how the property price goes. So to summarize, negative gearing hinders your growth by 1.1% and positively gearing accelerates your growth by 1.2% in this example. So if you marry the two between each other, it's a 2.3% difference in how the different structures will perform for you. And yes, I appreciate that the overwhelming majority of investors who are negatively geared are only doing so because it's the only option that they can afford. You can argue that the 6.8% minus 1.1% still leaves you in very much positive territory. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm purely arguing that it's not the most efficient method to build your wealth. If you want to buy a house just to get a foothold in the property market, I understand that this can be a good strategy, especially if you plan to live in that house eventually. Also, when you consider that the mortgage repayments are equal to or less than your current rental payments, it still seems to be a good idea. But if you're buying a house for pure investment purposes, you are better off going to shares. Yes, they are more volatile, but they are more stable if you look at it from a long-term perspective. Your negatively geared house will grow your wealth by 5.7% per year, and apartments will grow by 4.8% per year. The Australian share market grew by an average of 7.57% per year, and the American share market grew by a 16.61% per year. that is 16.61. Furthermore, shares do not force you into massive debts which you can barely afford. So, if you're only buying a house to help you afford your forever home, I personally prefer to achieve this by buying shares rather than buying real estate which is negatively geared. And yes, what about 2008 and 2020 when the share market reached lows of 50% of its peak value? But there's two things to know about this. The years leading up to those crashes had phenomenal growth, and the 50% crash will still leave you with more money than what you had originally invested just so long as you'd been in the market long enough. And the second thing to note is that the GFC recovered within 2 years, and the COVID crash recovered within months. So, to cut a long story short, if you have a choice between negative gearing and positive gearing, try to be positive. The amount that you save in taxes is not worth the amount that you'll lose in interest. Also, there is the additional benefit that a job loss will not cause you to lose a house. So, with that being said, negative gearing is moving your wealth still in the right direction, but it's just not very efficient. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that other stuff at the end of YouTube videos. Thanks, bye.